Welcome to the latest edition of Cageside Speaks. My name is 14 Fitzpatrick, and for today's edition of Cageside Speaks, we'll be talking about NXT TakeOver, the Revenge of Brooklyn. For you see, it's been approximately 1 year since the last Brooklyn show, and they're back again, louder and possibly, depending on who you ask, a little bit more annoying than ever. So, we brought together a group of Cagesiders here, as this is the gimmick here on Cageside Speaks, to talk about the show. First up, making his second appearance, is Chris.
Hey guys, how's it going? We've got a hell of a show coming up. This is going to be interesting to hear if people think this is better than Brooklyn or not as good as Brooklyn. I forgot my hashtags, never mind.
And I know, personally, I don't care about the not as good as Brooklyn thing, you know, I'm like... It's a wrestling show in Brooklyn. It's something you watch. And also joining us for his fourth appearance and a very special occasion, it's Gabe, because it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday!
Oh, hey.
And also joining us once again is the host of Live After SmackDown Live, Tonya Rogers.
Hello, everybody, and I hope we have a great show.
And first up, unfortunately, we have to talk about one of your least favorite wrestlers in NXT, Tonya. Mr. Austin Aries has once again graced his presence here on Speaks, and he's in the first match that we are going to talk about. He's facing off against No Way Jose, and No Way had a special entrance for this show. He did a, what was it, a capella dance?
With conga line.
Yeah?
Conga line.
Tanga line? Cool.
Congo.
A conga line.
Tonga line. Okay. So, Jose faced off against Aries and lost. Now, Aries was gloating and beating up Jose after the match, and then he was met by the recently returned Hideo Itami, who proceeded to hit him. Yes, the GTS.
I jumped the gun on that because I was too
with
excited.
his shoes. And, well, looks like we have our next match set up, which is going to be Itami versus Aries. But I wanted to get our thoughts on the Jose versus Aries match. What did you guys think about it? And we'll start with Chris.
Well, first I have to say, like, before we get into the match itself, I have to say the fact that Hideo came out there in boat shoes and kicked the crap out of Austin Aries may have been one of the best things about that entire show, because boat shoes. But the match itself, I really like No Way Jose because he's shown he's got good work. He's got a gimmick that can get over with the crowd, although I'm sure that the crowd's going to start to turn on him sooner rather than later. But I like the fact that he puts in good work and knows how to turn it on from being like a comedy wrestler to a serious worker. I understand why they put Aries over in the match instead of letting Jose get the win, because, I mean, Jose is still very new. But I don't really think that Aries put in his best work necessarily. I think the match, it didn't really come off as being all of that, like, special, to be honest. It just felt like they were, getting their spots in until they finally got to the second last chancery. Jose acquitted himself pretty well, but Aries, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is just him showing his age at this point, but I mean, to be fair, I haven't really been all that impressed with any of the matches that he's wrestled so far in NXT, so maybe that's just me. But I don't think that he really did his best work, and I'd like to see him actually put in a much better quality match when it comes time for him to face off against Hideo, which I assume is going to be the feud that leads into either an NXT title shot for Hideo or a promotion to the main roster. Because Hideo is definitely not long for NXT. That's for sure.
I agree. I mean, with his injuries right now, it's best to get Itami up to the main roster as soon as possible. And I have a theory about Aries.
Okay.
Aries does really well in bad environments because I saw his time in TNA. He did fantastic down there. NXT is not a bad environment. So his usual nonsense that he pulls, he has to then deal with good cop and bad cop down in NXT, although those two have recently left. Good cop is Alexa Bliss. Bad cop Bailey.
Yeah.
But Aries didn't do that great in ROH, right?
He did okay, but it was mainly because he was sort of playing a comedy character in ROH instead of a serious wrestler. It wasn't until the later half of his run where he started playing a serious wrestler.
Yeah. And I think for Aries, one of the things that he kind of thrives on is the fact that when he's reached the point of being like at the top echelon of whatever promotion he's with, he kind of just rests back on his laurels because he knows that he's not having to fight for the top spot. He can just do whatever and he'll just be there at the top no matter what. Whereas here in NXT, it's very clear he's got some very stiff competition, and he's not even close to the top at this point. You know, he was the first match on the card. He wasn't anywhere near the main event scene. So I think at this point, he's kind of letting the fact that he's not at the top, both in kayfabe and outside of kayfabe, I think he's kind of letting that show through in the fact that he's not really wrestling at his best level.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You know, he's allowing his frustration to get to him, and really, that's not something that you need to see out of a veteran. What a veteran needs to do is put over the young talent or help the young talent as best they can, even if they're going over. And he's not doing either of those things.
Yeah. Like he didn't really make Jose look great in the match. So even though Jose was doing a good job like keeping himself in the match, Aries was not really selling as well as he could have. He didn't really make it like look as good as he could have. But I mean, we'll see if that changes.
You know what? I'm just gonna have to go ahead and start off. I disagree with all you guys.
I disagree with him too. So
I thought that was Aries' best match. I thought he showed a lot of fire and passion and intensity. I thought he made No Way Jose look like he was on his level and that they were somewhere on an equal playing field. I loved it. That was like, I think, my third favorite match of the third or fourth, but
that was my third favorite match of the night.
Yeah, I think it was. I loved the match.
I thought it was better than the main event.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I really liked it. And then his post-match interview, he showed a lot of fire and passion in that. I'm not, and you guys know I'm not the biggest Austin Aries fan, but I was actually like, I enjoyed him. He was enjoyable for me, and I thought he played his role very well.
So I went back and I'll get onto this now. So I went back and rewatched two matches from this card. This and the women's match. I didn't get to the tag match yet because it's a little bit longer and I didn't feel like watching it yet. But so I rewatched this. So at the start it was basically Aries. I thought this was played really well by both guys because Jose's 40 pounds heavier than Aries, so he shouldn't really be working under completely. So it was basically Aries trying to escape, get away because he didn't want to deal with it. Found an advantage of using the ropes against his neck. Continued to work on the neck basically the whole match. And Jose just countered with some huge spots, including a TKO out of like nowhere. So it made both guys look good. When he went into the last chancery at the last time, I think they were doing something on the top rope, and Aries just kept going. He went for the chancery before Jose got out, so now his neck's worn down. Then he was hitting the neck right away, and then went into the last chancery, and Jose had no choice but to tap because otherwise he's going to get hurt. So it made Jose look really strong, even that he tapped. And then he went back at Jose, and Tommy came out. It made everybody look better. They were trying to move Aries up the card because of the main event, because of what happened in the main event, because they need heels if Joe's out. Or just going up, period. So they need more heels, so they clearly were trying to build Aries up. And it also makes Jose look like a sympathetic babyface in the sense that he couldn't find a way to beat the wily veteran. And it's his first loss in NXT, and he's probably going to be there for a while. They'll probably build him up to be the next face of the company at some point.
See, I don't really know if he's going to get to that point because, I mean, they started Jose off as pure comedy, and then only when they got into this feud do they start to show another side of it. But I don't know that necessarily they're going to be
over, and he's also 20. He's pretty young with not a lot of mileage on him.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm worried that they're not going to be able to maintain a good balance between the comedy aspect of things and the serious side of things. I feel like either they're going to try and switch back and forth too much, or they're going to overpower one side with the other. And it's...
They'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. I don't... Like, they normally handle this pretty well, because it's mostly... He's pretty serious. He's fun until you get between the ropes. He'll have fun during the match, too, a little bit. Like, that's part of why his finisher is a Cobra Clutch Slam, because he dances you into it. So that goes with his character.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I think he'll be fine. When he cut that promo on Aries, I was like, what? He can do that already that well? Like, seriously? Like, they don't give guys mic time in the middle of the ring very often, like, in NXT particularly. They gave him a mic, and he hit a home run on it. Yeah. I think they wanted to build up Almas for this match more, and then he kind of busted, and Jose was getting over. Because I've heard Jose's over even at house shows pretty well. Because he's just that fun.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah. I mean, this was a very interesting opening match, as you guys have put it, and I will see how things go. I mean, either Jose is going to end up being this great babyface character, or he's going to basically be Apollo Crews 2.0.
Well, he's already done better than Apollo Crews, because Apollo Crews,
he's not going to be Crews, because he has more than Crews has physical charisma, but No Way has. You know, he has charisma on the mic, charisma in the ring as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Apollo Crews is a good athlete, but he's extremely limited everywhere else.
He's just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And that still just kills me, but that's another subject for another time.
So, next up on the match list is a debut. Well, first up is Billie Kay, who recently returned from doing a jobbing stint on SmackDown, and she's all high and mighty, and she thinks, oh, I'm the greatest thing ever because I was up on the main roster and I lost in a few minutes. And
Dana Brooke of
General
all people.
Manager William Regal decided that she was going to face against the new debut for this edition of the TakeOver, Ember Moon, who is formerly known as Athenia.
Oh my god, I'm so happy about this finally happening.
Yes, she has been on the NXT developmental roster for, I think, almost 8 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
And this was finally her debut. She had a fantastic entrance, and she sort of, like, reminded me of... She's sort of basically a warrior version of Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And she won with the O-Face. They haven't renamed the move yet. I'm not sure what they're going to go with for that. But what were your thoughts on this short match, but really apparently left quite an impact on people?
I'll start. I think Ember might have worked under a little too much, but her offense looked impactful. It's just fun to watch, and that finisher is already over. Like, and Billy sold that perfectly, because I've seen some house show videos and they just like fall over. No, she took it really as a stunner really well.
Well, she's worked with her before.
Yeah,
she was also in Shimmer.
What's that promotion? I'm kidding. I know it. Like, it's a running joke. They've worked before, but like she took the O-Face really well. So I thought it was a good debut, and it set her up to eventually face Asuka at some point. I would expect her to take the title off of Asuka at some point.
Well, at this point, there are currently 2 candidates to take the belt off of Asuka, and they're both relatively new debuts. Ember Moon and Liv Morgan has become a candidate.
Or Nikki Cross.
I don't think that she's worked enough to necessarily be a candidate yet, but she will be down the line. She'll definitely be in the title hunt when she's gotten some more exposure.
People just don't know who she is. She's pretty TV ready.
Yeah. As far as the match between Billy and Ember, I'll profess I'm marks for both of these women. I love their work in the Indies, and I love the fact that Ember's finally on the main roster showing up on TV because it's long overdue. Like, I felt like she should have basically been put on TV immediately from the point that she was signed, but that's here nor there. The match, I think, I agree with Gabe that Ember worked under a little bit too much, but it still worked in both women's favor because they needed to establish that Billy can work against a higher level competitor than what she's been doing so far. Because, I mean, she had 2 matches on NXT leading up to TakeOver. She had the first match against, I believe she had one of the matches was against Liv Morgan, and I think, I don't remember who the other one was against, but they both were not upper echelon competitors, and Ember Moon very clearly is, already at the top level in the women's division. Illface, I mean, you can't say enough good things. It's one of the best finishers in all of wrestling right now. Just the approach, the landing, just if you have someone who can sell that well, that move is just unbeatable in terms of being able to get a pop from the crowd. And I think that Ember is definitely going to be the one to eventually take the title off of Asuka. And when that happens, just forward projection, that match needs to be like the new Sasha Bailey 1 in terms of the level of a competition that goes into that match. That match needs to change the women's division because having seen those two compete against each other in the past, I know what kind of match they can put on, what kind of talent they can display, and how good it can be. And if they don't do at least as good as what they've done in the past, it's going to be disservice to both competitors because they both deserve to put on like a extremely top quality match. So,
no, I agree with you there.
So this match is it's, to me, it was a commentary on the mistakes that the NXT has made with the women's division ever since they called up Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte, and that is relying way too much on Bayley to be the anchor of the division and not building up any women, because they didn't. I mean, Ember Moon, she beat Billie Kay. Oh, great, but what the hell has Billie Kay ever really done? She went up to SmackDown and lost the match. Great. But, you know what I'm saying? I think if Billie Kay had actually been somewhere near a contender, it would have been more impressive for Ember Moon to beat her.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so worried about Peyton Royce not showing up, because she was actually making a big impact. She was showing up on the house shows, she was showing up on TV, she was actually looking good, and then she just fucking disappeared. And she could have been actually a much better contender to help Ember Moon debut if she hadn't just disappeared.
I think they're repackaging her. Because she's not hurt, and she didn't get any surgery.
Yeah, but it just goes to the fact that there's way too many women who need to be built up right now. And they spent so much time on Bayley, and they pretty much ignored everyone else. Like, Asuka isn't even getting built up as the champion. You know, she just shows up, kicks somebody's ass, says a few things, and then leaves. It's not the same storylines and attention that it was getting when all the 4 horsewomen were down there. You can see the big difference. It's just focused on, okay, so who's the next person that's going to challenge? And then there's nothing else happening with the rest of the division.
It seems to be... Continue.
I love, everything that you guys said about the match. I agree with, but that's just my commentary on the state of the NXT women's division. It's not meaty enough. There's not enough there. There's too many unknown factors
Yeah.
going on in the division right now. You know, there's too many people who no one's really familiar with if you didn't watch the end. Because I don't watch the indies. I don't know who half these women are. So why should I get invested in? Still, all the women that I'm invested in, they're on the main roster now. All of them, especially since Bayley moved up. Every woman in the company that I've gotten invested in their story and who they are, they're not in NXT. And that was not the case a year ago.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Tonya. Absolutely, it is absolutely a mistake on their part that they just put everything. They put all their eggs in one basket with Bayley because of the fact that she was not only the face of the women's division, but in NXT, but really the face of NXT. Period. During that whole run, and they have a lot of great competitors who are from the Indies and a lot of great competitors who have been brought up through the Performance Center, but they haven't done enough to actually make people want to care. You know, Liv Morgan, Aaliyah, Daria, Mandy Rose, all great competitors from the PC who could have been and should have been probably wrestling at least, you know, some matches to some degree at least 3 or 4 months ago. Billie Kay, Peyton Royce should have both been built up to be a lot more serious competitors and even potentially close to the title scene at least 3 or 4 months ago also. And none of them have really received the kind of push that they should be getting in order to make people care. So now they have to start from scratch. So that's
now they have to hurry up and build somebody for Asuka.
Yeah. So it's going to be it's going to be I think it's going to be at least a rough couple of months for the NXT Women's Division, at least watching the episodes for happen at Full Sail until we get to the next takeover, because they really do have to start over, and the crowds I think are going to be pretty harsh on some of these women who are going to be coming out there and not really having anything to go on with them previously, only being able to judge what's right in front of them. The crowd's going to get pretty serious with them.
I think that there's a dual problem going on with the women's division. I think it also applies to the rest of the divisions in NXT, is that they're trying to please two different masters. You've got on one side the development people who just want to develop in-house, and on the other hand, loudly screaming like a pack of howler monkeys are the indie marks. And the indie marks have been incredibly detrimental to the NXT product for the last 2 years or so, since they started going on their witch hunt crusade against Alexa Bliss and Dana Brooke when they were down there. And now, they have what they want. You've got Asuka, Ember Moon, and Billie Kay in positions to rise above, but Billie Kay has had an inconsistent run so far. Same thing with Peyton Royce. Athenia just debuted as Ember Moon, and Asuka is just there. She's just there. We'll talk about her a little bit more on the Bayley-Asuka match, but there's just not a lot there right now. And speaking of two different stories, we have to talk about match number 3. This one is probably going to make quite a few people angry at me. For those of you who don't know, I started out watching wrestling through TNA, so I am familiar with the work of Mr. Bobby Roode. He's got a good entrance, but not much else, unfortunately.
A great entrance. That's great. That's a GOAT entrance right there. That's amazing.
But
that
not much else.
There's a way to describe that entrance.
Glorious.
Yeah.
That theme is just confusing to me, because isn't Roode a heel?
Right. That theme is not like it says I won't give in till I'm victorious. That's not a heel mindset.
That's a face.
Yeah. I will do what I must. There's nothing. There's heels are like I will scratch and claw and do whatever it takes to make it to the top. So yeah, it to me is designed for smarks like us, like people who are in the know. You know what I'm saying? And kind of NXT is completely developed for smarks, but at the same time, you have a guy like Almas, who I wasn't even into when he first came, and he did some phenomenal work in that match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he got over with me because he was entertaining. He wrestled circles around Bobby Roode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's just like, can he catch a break? The first TakeOver match, it was against Ty Dillinger, who's way more over than he was. And now you have him against Bobby Roode, who's way more over in that environment. And it's just like, where are you going with this guy? Because he's talented. And they gave him a crappy setup for his entrance. And just, yeah.
Hopefully they just bring Rush up from CMML and just turn them heel.
Well, if there's anybody on the NXT roster right now who's a candidate to be Apollo Crews 2.0, it's Almas, because he doesn't have an identity. He's he's being put against guys that the crowd is going to be more invested in his opponents than they are in him, and he has a crappy ass finisher. As double knees to the corner is the weakest finisher that I've seen right now, apart from Rude.
That's Sasha's. The double knees to the corner is a setup move that Sasha does.
Yeah, he needs something that's more impactful, and on top of that, because of the way that WWE is with the how they want their in-ring work to look, his moveset is being far limited from what he used to be able to do in CMLL. Being able to run around and do a lot of the flips and the crazy stunts that he used to do in the indies, he can't do that now, so he's not going to be able to get over with the crowd as easily as he was in those days. So he's been really shafted. For a guy that's that talented, it's a shame, because he could very easily be in the title hunt, and instead he's basically upper mid-card right now with no direction.
Basically like Austin Aries, except in the opposite role as a face. Yeah,
that's unfortunate too, because
he's a wrestler, but he doesn't really have much of an identity, and I know that people have been wanting him to go ungovernable for a while, but there's a little bit of a snag in that plan, because I'm not sure WWE can get Rush, because they're pushing Los Inaugurables down in CMML finally.
If they were going to try and get Los Inaugurables to actually be a thing, they would actually also have to officially acknowledge Bullet Club too, and that would just...
They can't acknowledge Bullet Club. They don't have the copyright.
Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't even make sense to make Los Inaugurables a thing. It's because it's like they were a faction that was created specifically to oppose the Bullet Club. So making them a faction then here in WWE when they don't have anything to oppose is it just seems like a way to develop a gimmick that doesn't have direction again. So I don't even know that would help.
That would be kind of a lazy way to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with you got all these creative people, come up with something on your own.
Yeah. And Almost does deserve the direction, because like we said, he did wrestle circles around Bobby Roode in that match.
Not the best debut for Roode. I mean, he can have better matches, but I don't know.
I mean, I feel like if the rumors are true and Storm is coming back to NXT, they really should just pair them right back up immediately, because I feel like if they want both Roode and Storm to get over and also mask the fact that, let's face it, they're both older guys who are somewhat limited in the ring from what they used to be when they first came out in TNA, they need to put them together and have their gimmick be what keeps them over.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, they could potentially pair him up with Austin Aries, because they used to be a tag team in TNA.
That's true, too.
And they have really good chemistry.
They need Aries as a singles guy for now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, right now they're singles guys, but they can potentially be paired up into a team at some point, because they're going to need new teams after, well... I'm not sure how long the Revival are for NXT. Because if they keep putting out lights-out matches like this and just go in and wreck shop, then they're going to be main roster bound soon.
I thought
They need the revival on the main roster because like all the teams that are over are face teams.
and
They got New Day, they got Enzo and Cass, they got American Alpha, and then they have everybody else.
and
There's no heel team that's on that level. So the revival is definitely needed. And people are like, oh, I don't know that if they can get over on the main roster because they're boring. You don't want them to be cheered. They have the perfect gimmick in 2016 to get over as a heel tag team on the main roster.
hurt all the baby faces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, who loses to the Revival? The only team that can conceivably beat them at this point is the Authors of Pain, and they're not going to book a heel versus heel match like that.
DYI.
Oh, goodness.
I think what they're going to do with the Revival at some point is that they are going to turn them face for a little bit and have them drop the belts to the Authors of Pain. Or they could have Gargano and Ciampa beat them for the belts and do a transitional push where you go Gargano and Ciampa win the belts, Authors of Pain and beat them for the belts, Ciampa snaps, beats up Johnny, and then the Authors of Pain face against whatever face team that you've had built up in the meantime.
Yeah. We should probably talk about the tag match now.
Yes.
This was
Best
your favorite
match of the
match on the
night.
card.
Yeah, I didn't even like the finish, but I'll admit this was the best match of the night as far as like the quality of wrestling.
There's only one other match that's close to this match.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
you could even call this one of the top 3 matches of the entire weekend, easily.
It was the best match from WWE this weekend to me.
The only match that's probably close to that is Cena Styles.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's the only one that's even like relatively close. So.
And you have, and they built up this DIY team, which, by the way, they have shirts up on WWEshop.com. I wonder if they'll last as long as the Y2AJ shirts that they released earlier in the year.
Are those on clearance? Are those on clearance yet?
No, actually, they pulled those shirts.
Yeah, they probably have been sent off as charity shirts now. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's kind of funny because my reaction has been very different from people about Gargano and Ciampa. I like Johnny Gargano, but I don't like him enough. Whereas Tommaso Ciampa, I've seen his work in Ring of Honor. I'm waiting for this man to turn into your friendly neighborhood Sicilian psychopath.
Did you see the death stare he had at Gargano CWC?
Yes.
Oh my God, that was scary.
Yeah, it was.
Tommaso is one of the best workers that the company has right now because he has the ability to just in an instant transform himself into that Sicilian psychopath, and everybody knows that he's capable of doing it. And as soon as it happens, it is just the whole entire match changes in 1 second, and it's amazing.
This match had me at the near. This match, I saw like even that near fall that they gave away that it wasn't happening. They timed it so well because they gave it away with the camera because I don't know why they went to the overhead.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a.
But I don't know if they could have gone to a side just because of where they did it. But like even they timed that and it was like, wait, the ref's like, wait, nope, never mind. They were the only thing that I felt is they were Ciampa as the face in Pearl for a little long.
Yeah.
That was the only weird thing that I
That actually was selling the story because here you have Ciampa who's doing all the work of the team, and then Gargano, because of his injuries in the CWC, it ties into that tournament.
His injury happens in this match, and he's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the leg cell that happened in this match, and then TJP took advantage. But
great. That's great planning ahead because they taped that a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they
least.
definitely. Well, I think they knew because of the fact that Revival have just become known for that whole leg break spot.
Triple H planned it out way ahead of time.
Yeah, he probably told them, we're gonna include this in Gargano's CWC match, so you got to make sure that you hit this spot at some point during the Brooklyn match. And obviously it worked like a charm.
I mean, Dawson is... It's so funny. Dash and Dawson have this redneck gimmick, but those two, I think, are the smartest tag workers that have come out of NXT in ages, or main roster even. They plan every single spot to the letter.
Mm-hmm.
And
that spot where I think it was Ciampa was going for the tag, and then Dawson fell into the ring by accident.
The Dash.
That was,
Dash
oh my god. Yeah. Oh, it was Dash? It was great, though. Oh my god. I was just like, I was ready to kill them. Yeah. At that point. I hate them so much.
That's one of the reasons why they're so good, is because they accomplish their goal as heels at making you hate them. They do that so well. By the end of that match, I was just like, fuck these guys!
Right. It's amazing.
Like you'd pay to go see them lose a match.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's your job as a heel.
Yeah. You want
yeah.
Oh, it was so well done.
Yeah. The best heel act in WWE right now.
Yeah.
AJ Styles is pretty close.
But we still have Let's Go AJ chants when he's in his matches. You don't hear Let's Go Revival ever.
Yeah, because they're just purely
despicable, and you want them to lose. Even though they're as good as they are, you still want them to lose. That is so very hard to do in the landscape of wrestling these days. And I think they should be commended for their work.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I started out really enjoying their work and being huge fans of them, and now I'm at the point where I just hate them and I just want them to lose. And so that they've done what they are supposed to do. They've made the crowd want them to lose, even though there are going to be smarks, of course, who are going to cheer for them because they like the quality of matches they put out. They've made most of the fans hate them, and that's what you're supposed to do as a heel.
Every time that they take out somebody's legs, Reverend Kane cheers.
Oh, yeah, I mean, what else do you expect of Kane?
Continue, Gabe.
I said, or the fingers. Just work the fingers. You'll be over with him in 10 seconds.
So we all like the Gargano Ciampa versus Revival match, and we all think it's the best match on this card.
Yeah.
And now, let us talk about the match that made Andrew M. Swift extremely sad. Well, one of the two matches. The other one was at SummerSlam. Bayley versus Asuka 2.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
It is what it is.
It's the end of the era.
Let me start off with this match. The storytelling was impeccable because they were pretty much saying that Bayley is your best. She's like the ace of the division. She's never give up and never say die. But she died in the last match. And this time she's going to come back. She's trained harder than ever, and she's going to prove it. I love the story of that. She actually got out of the Asuka lock. So she figured that out. And she was like, yes, I have what it takes. And when she told Asuka, hit me in the face, hit me. And Asuka was like, okay, fine, I'll hit you in the face. Here goes some kicks for you. And then she went out cold. And, it was just great. I went through such a roller coaster of emotions during that match. I was like, is Bayley going to win? Is she not? It was such a gutsy performance by her. I got chills. That match, and I think it was the right decision because, Bayley has to lose. When you're leaving, you go out on your back. That's how you do it. I just loved it, and I didn't even have a problem. I know some people had a problem with after the match, Asuka hugged her and everything, but Asuka had a little disrespect towards Bayley, and I think even in defeat, Bayley earned Asuka's respect
Mm-hmm.
That's another layer to the story I think some people aren't really looking at. Now, Asuka doesn't have to be heel or face. She can just be Asuka.
Yeah.
The Empress of Destruction.
Right.
I don't know why they call her the Empress of Tomorrow, because she's clearly the Empress of Destruction.
Yeah. That's exactly.
They've started calling her the Empress of Today, I think, now, so...
The spot where Bailey powers out of the Asuka lock into the Bailey to belly, I thought she won, and I was like, I know she's losing this match, but I'm pretty sure I just thought she won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did, like, has Bailey ever not figured out somebody's submission move? Because she figured out Sasha's, like, if you go back to her before her Charlotte TakeOver match, she beat Sasha by rolling her out of the bank statement, and then I think she did that again. And then probably did some more in between.
I think she figured out how to get out of Sasha's move, she figured out how to get out of Becky's move, and I think she also figured out how to get out of Charlotte's maneuver. So it's an established part of Bayley's character.
Yeah, because she blocked the Becky's move to go to the title match. So then Asuka went for it again, and she got her in the pin, and I'm like, yep, she figures out every submission.
Mm-hmm. I figured that they were going to have the match end at pinfall, though, because I didn't think that they were going to have her either tap out or get KO'd again. That wouldn't have really made a lot of sense. So I figured it was going to have to end with just a solid kick to the head.
Yeah, their insurance doesn't cover riots in Brooklyn.
No.
I know.
Not really.
They also had like the best no-sell spot in WWE in a long time.
Yeah.
They basically went strong style in this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why the match worked as well as it did was the fact that they showed Bayley's evolution in her training between the first match and the second. Like, if you watch them back to back, you can see Asuka goes for some of the same spots that she went for in the first match, where she put Bayley on her back and put her into really tough spots. And in this match, she was able to avoid them or block them or just find ways to get offense in despite that. So I think that they really did do a solid job of selling the match as your babyface in peril that everybody loves and everybody wants to win, is made it her business to really make sure she can put herself in a position to win the match, and really is taking her opponent seriously and is ready and willing to put everything she has out there to win, because the title means that much to her. And she, in the end, couldn't get it done because it was, Asuka's just too much.
Yep.
And I loved how they positioned the camera on the side where they could get the pin and the reactions of Becky and Sasha.
What that was? Oh my God! Becky and Sasha were in the audience, but they were at work for that match. Like, they helped sell it. When Sasha just dropped her head down, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why they might have done that. Did you guys see the tweet that went out of Sasha's reactions to Bayley losing the title? How she was like in tears. I think that probably the company noticed that enough people had seen that they wanted to, have that reaction at ringside, because
they kept. Well, that was the only people they put at ringside besides some cruiserweight guys and Rick.
Yeah.
And Charlotte was on the other side. She wasn't camera side. They kept them separate.
Yeah, they have to do that in kayfabe. But I think that like really was channeled into the audience. That's also why they put Izzy up there with her family, because they wanted to channel that emotion.
They moved her front row because she wasn't there for any other match.
Yeah, which I'm surprised by, because Izzy's also a total mark for Nakamura. In case anybody hasn't seen that.
Yeah, and Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, it also kind of foreshadowed the Charlotte-Sasha match, actually. the seeing Bayley lose to Asuka may have like demoralized Sasha because Bayley's a part of the Four Horsewomen, and we've said it earlier in the broadcast that we feel as though that the Four Horsewomen were kind of overpushed in NXT, and we're seeing the results of that. And nobody else is really there. Even Asuka, the champion, she's not really there.
And,
Yeah.
And now on the main roster too, it's the Four Horsewomen are dominating the scene, and only now with the brand split the rest of the women's division now finally able to start to break out and show themselves as well.
Positive is that they did a WWE 24 documentary about the women's division up on the main roster, and it seems as though that they're more unified now than they were a couple of years ago, and that's a major positive right there.
Yeah.
They've even admitted to some of their mistakes.
You don't have AJ Lee. I know people loved her, but that locker room was way divided when she was there on top, and she leaves, and now everybody's friends and everybody's rooting for each other. Wonder why that is.
It sucks because AJ did do a lot in her own way to help advance women's wrestling, but
yeah, but if you want to if you just want to put yourself over the whole division.
Yeah.
How much help does it really do?
Exactly.
Look at her last big match. What did she do at WrestleMania 31? She slept outside, then came in and got the win.
Yep. It's unfortunate.
So, for everything she did on TV.
Continue, Tonya.
The supposed villains wrestled the whole match and wrestled a good match. Like, I just think that's just something I observed since she's left. There hasn't been any sneaky tweets or any women kind of throwing shade at each other. And she used to throw a whole hell of a lot of shade to certain women who didn't, who I guess she didn't like or whatever. But now the locker room seems to be completely unified.
Yeah.
It's just something I noticed.
It also helps that the NXT people are up there now, so they always have had a unified locker room since the start of NXT, and that is transferring over into the main roster. And also the main roster people, if they have injuries, they're going down to the Performance Center to rehabilitate. Guess who Nikki worked with? Bayley.
Yeah. That was you can see it in basically anything that they air that relates to NXT outside of kayfabe. Like, I went and watched some of the videos they had from the draft when Carmella and Alexa both got drafted. You could see just everybody just cheering like crazy for the two of them and giving them all the appreciation and congratulations and everything. And you can tell it's like everybody wants everybody else to succeed in that group, and they feel that everybody should get their chance. And it makes a lot of sense to do that.
Alexa was in tears. Mojo was crying. Carmella was shocked. Everybody was like, "Oh, wow, we're here. We're on the main roster."
Mm-hmm.
And the next thought is like, I remember a promo that Alexa Bliss did when she was drafted, and she's like, "The main roster has not seen Alexa Bliss," and for that split second, the person disappeared. In that 3-second gap, her facial expression completely changes, and you're no longer talking to Alexa Bliss, the person. You're now talking to Pixie Hulk, the wrestler.
Your favorite.
Oh, yeah. Her and Bayley are my top two right now, because, everybody, all the indie darlings were going against Alexa so hard when she was down in NXT that I felt so sympathetic to her.
Yeah.
You're not an indie wrestler. You're a model. Yeah. And what she did...
She gymnastics also?
She was a bodybuilder, and she did do gymnastics. She was actually on the cheerleading squad.
Even worse than that, they were giving her accusations of being a ring rat. I read a lot of that, and that just really, really was upsetting to read, because it's like, that kind of an environment is not a place where someone being a ring rat would be tolerated, and nor would it be rewarded. That's not a place where that kind of thing would happen.
And you know what? The thing that upsets me about that is Stone Cold Steve Austin played football. The Macho Man Randy Savage, his dream was to be a baseball player. Why the hell does it matter what somebody did before they got into wrestling?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That has always irritated me. Why the hell does that matter?
Yeah. Oh, it shouldn't. There's no reason for it to be, the focus of anything. It doesn't make any damn sense.
It should be an exclusive club, but these people are so scared about letting other people into their clique that they're scared of outsiders. They don't know these people. These are the kind of people that stuffed them into lockers in high school. Don't let whatever phobia or issue that you had in high school dictate how you're going to be treating people now that you are an adult watching wrestling with these people.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares if Alexa Bliss was a cheerleader in high school in Ohio? She's now a professional wrestler.
Yep. And she's damn good at it, too.
Yeah, and she channeled all of that anger, hate, and rage into this character and made it work. Her squash matches are some of the most entertaining matches I watched in NXT through late last year into this year.
Yeah, she's great. She is.
Yeah.
I hope she gets the SmackDown title off from Nikki after Nikki wins it.
Oh, I cannot wait until she busts out on, it hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen. I cannot wait.
Yeah, the match that the two of them are going to have is going to be, that's going to be a hell of a match because the two of them are just going to go full strong style on each other.
Oh,
yeah.
Forearms and elbows for days.
Speaking of strong style, our last match of this show is involving the King of Strong Style, attempting to take the throne away from one Emperor Joe, who defeated the puny demon for the NXT Championship finally, after 3 tries, and finally gets a decent opponent to face off against, so he's not carrying 95% of the match like he was. During those 3 encounters.
Now finding Fitzpatrick's house to kill him.
Especially now.
Yeah. Fizzy, I think you might want to lock your doors because Brigade is coming for you.
You'll have to face my cat.
Oh boy.
I have them trained to fight wrestlers.
Brigade has a long drive from Memphis.
Oh boy. Yeah. So the title match, I gotta say, I'm shocked that they took the belt off Joe this first time competing against somebody that wasn't Balor. I am absolutely shocked by that. I can understand the thinking behind it in that they want Shinsuke to be built up as much as possible before they bring him to the main roster because he's gonna go to the main roster soon, but I'm still shocked that they did this as quickly as they did because Joe, being the being the character he is, his whole gimmick centers around just being completely and totally dominant of any scene that he's in, and he finally got to that point of dominance, and then they immediately put him up against somebody who just dominated him instead. So I'm confused by the booking of the match. The actual action of the match, though, I really enjoyed. I think that they did it right. They really both pulled out, the best quality of work that they could from each other, considering how deflated the crowd was at that point from Bayley's loss. I think that they got the crowd back into it as well as they could, and they put together a decent match.
I don't think that the match was as...
They could have done better.
Yeah, they could. They could have done better. Yeah, but I think for the spot that they were in, I think they did a pretty good job with it. I still don't understand the thinking behind putting the face of your promotion in the match before the main event. Yeah, I get that they want to elevate the men's title as well, but
for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the issue that I have with Samoa Joe. I think as a character, he's doing amazing work. But the way he talks is like he is going to kill you during the match. In every match he's wrestled, he's still working even. I've not seen him kill anyone yet, and that's my issue. You know what I'm saying? He talks like he's a murderer, or like he's Samoan Brock Lesnar, and then you get 50-50 working even with everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't understand this match because it's like, oh, hey, look, these two guys want to kill each other, and then why are they wrestling? Not even
Right.
that. I was like, why couldn't these dudes just like throw forearms and kick it, like use all the strong style, reverse it into all the positions they know for 12, 15 minutes of beating the crap out of each other, and then finally have Joe go out. Instead, they work like a really long match that felt forever because they're working submissions instead of like a style that would have fit them better into and mixing that into submissions because both of them are submission specialists.
Yeah.
But you played one over the other, and you played submissions over beating the crap out of each other when beating the crap out of each other is more of these guys' characters.
Yeah,
it was really confusing. I get why they put Nakamura over. I don't think I don't think if they brought him up to the main roster right now, they could establish him what they want. So that's, I think the thinking behind it is Joe's not selling a ton. House show wise, he's really not getting over as a heel as much as they need him to get a face. Nakamura doesn't really have a plan on the main roster, so put the belt on Nakamura, sell tickets, bring him up after Mania is probably the idea.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
Yeah, the match, I think, while I stand by the fact that it still was a decent match, Nakamura had a harder hitting and more impactful match with Zayn than he did with Joe. And remember that match with Zayn, according to them, was not planned out. They didn't talk ahead of time. They just improv the whole thing. So I think that
I don't know how much of this match was improv or not, because Nakamura does not want his matches scripted at all.
Yeah.
So he could have worked. And Zayn's also. I don't know how good Joe is on changing stuff in the middle of a match, but it was weird.
Do you think that kind of hurt because Nakamura and Zayn had such a fantastic match? It's kind of hard to top that match. So everything kind of looks worse in comparison.
It's hard to top, but it's the story they were telling. The story was telling of working on the mat and out wrestling each other, and these two, and it was separate from the story they were telling before. For Nakamura, it made sense because he's calm, so he'll take you in submissions. But Joe wants to beat the crap out of him, and he's just trying to wrestle him. It didn't make sense. From Joe's side, Nakamura, he could have just wrestled him all day and had no issues.
Well, commentary also was really weird on this one because they were going on and on the whole night about how these two hate each other, these two want to kick the crap out of each other, just the whole time. And meanwhile, I watched that interview segment that they did where Byron Saxon was interviewing the two of them, and Nakamura is just completely calm, completely collected and contained within himself. Joe is the only one who's selling this whole rage angle. I don't think that they really scripted that part of it as well as they could have, because what they need to be doing with Nakamura is showing the fact that I think they need to put him into a little bit more of a tweener character and showing that he knows he's one of the best wrestlers on the whole planet, and he just gives no shits about who he's facing. He'll just come in there and kick the crap out of you no matter what because he knows he can do it, and he has no fear of anybody else because of the fact that he knows he can do that. So I think that what they need to do is to sell Shinsuke as a little bit more of just
arrogant.
Arrogant, understanding his superiority and knowing that when it comes down to it, all you're going to be doing is feeling a knee to the side of your head and then laying down. That's what they need
Alex
to do.
Riley, like Buddy Murphy, like Wesley Blake,
Buddy Murphy,
Austin Aries,
and now Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
who actually might. We don't know if he actually dislocated his jaw.
Yeah.
If not, it's a part of the story. But like, he might have got him a little low on the jaw watching that live.
Well, it looked like from what I could tell, it looked like they wanted the match to maybe go a little bit longer after he hit the first Kinshasa. But then it looked like Joe was just like he was grabbing his jaw and it looked like he was he was not willing to do much more than that. So I think that they might have audibled that finish to go straight into the second Kinshasa to finish it. So that might have actually been a legit injury. I don't know if it necessarily was like a complete dislocation of the jaw or if it just really freaking hurt.
That's what he tweeted, but we don't know how much is like him actually saying that's what happened, or they're just using that for storylines now.
We also need to consider the factor of he's Samoan.
Yeah.
You could drop a giant boulder on him and it probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like my problem with the booking is I don't know where they go from here because same problem in the men's division as it is in the women's. Like they've got singles people, but like everybody who could potentially go into the title scene is already tied up into something else. I mean,
you're probably gonna have the rematch, and then I would guess a Tommy.
either a Tommy or Bobby Roode, but I mean by that point in time, Roode might be hooked up to Jim Storm again. So
the entrances for Nakamura and Bobby Roode. And the match would probably be okay.
Interesting to note that you said that, Gabe. Both of them had fantastic entrances, but only average matches.
When Nakamura wants to, he'll have really good matches.
I know, but this was 80% Nakamura, and I've seen 80% Nakamura before from watching his work in New Japan.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, when Nakamura shows up, he's fine. There's a difference between him and Rude, but half the time he doesn't show up.
Yeah, like I think the part of the problem for him is that he knows he's so over that he just puts all of his effort into his theatrics, and then in the actual match itself, it's just like, oh, I'm just gotta make sure I hit my spots, and it sucks because I mean this guy's one of my favorite wrestlers on the entire planet, and I know that when he wants to, he'll put in a match that's gonna just leave everybody blown away, but you know most of the time when it's not on a giant stage. Like it was with Dallas at his debut, he just ends up like oh okay, well we'll just do whatever, and get to the finish.
Yeah.
So this was I mean, when is Joe gonna finally have a good main event? Because he got stuck with Finney McBrogue for 3 matches, and now he gets an match with Nakamura. But I mean, they can do better. Honestly,
I just think it's mostly on Joe not showing that killer side in his matches. He still hasn't shown that he's a killer when he gets in the ring.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
He honestly could just one thing. I'll bring this person up because I've seen him a couple of times. Well, one thing Matt Riddle does in his matches in the Indies a lot is he'll go for the cross arm breaker like early. So it says he can take you out really quickly. Then he normally goes to the match. So Joe could just go for the Kokita clutch really quickly, or find a way and just say, "Hey, I got you at any second." I think that would help a lot, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that would make a lot of sense. You show there's something there that they can take you out really quickly, so now they're gonna have to work to beat you, even if they're gonna still win.
Like he did that in the cage match with Balor. He went for the clutch fairly early in the match, and then it got countered. But it did help to establish the fact that Joe felt that he had established dominance over Finn finally at that point. And this match, it's like
can't sell it very well.
Yeah, well, how do you sell a submission hold from a guy who is about 3 times as wide as you are? It's just, I don't understand why they would do that at any point in time.
Like trying to counter it and stuff is what I mean. Like his emotions on it of like he's absolute fear. Like he's not that, but like Joe. I feel like Joe might be going up soon. I just don't know when, or I don't know what they're trying to do. Because I would like to see him versus multiple people on the main roster.
I mean, they have a storyline in place right now with potentially Samoa Joe going up to defend his friend Daniel Bryan's honor against the Miz. But
I don't think they're gonna do that one for Bryan. I don't think they'll use Joe for Bryan because they want Joe as a heel.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple other people they would use for that.
Mhm.
Specifically, somebody's finisher that Daniel Bryan took.
Yeah. I think that if anything, what they should do with Joe is if they want to keep him heel, have him go up to go after Roman. If Roman wins the Universal title, and barring that, if that doesn't end up happening, have him go up and face Ambrose for the world title. Because I mean,
Ambrose isn't having the world title very long, so.
Wait a minute.
Even if he goes up against AJ, yeah, I mean it's very easy to turn AJ face in that situation because Joe can come up with his attitude of, I'm better than you. I proved I was better than you everywhere else that I went because we've wrestled together for decades, and I'll prove that I'm better than you here.
I think if Joe goes anywhere, he goes to Raw. Maybe he takes out he would have, if he's gonna be a heel, he has to take out somebody that's liked really quickly, and it's also a face. There's nobody that's there like that. Maybe they have 2 heels that they could turn face and just have Joe kill him really quickly also.
I feel like
I'm just in favor of Joe versus Roman just for the match, so do that.
So am I, but you also want to work the alignment correctly too. So that
It doesn't matter. Whose alignment is correct on Raw? Nobody's. So we gotta get Joe's correct. Nobody's alignment is right.
Well, let's try and fix that part. So
I would have been fully on board if they had gone with the original thing that I suggested of having Joe go up and be Roman's enforcer when Roman still had the title. That would have been an amazing alliance there. The two of them.
Oh Jesus.
Oh man, I would have been so on board with that. But.
Oh yeah.
Opportunities lost. Yeah.
I honestly think that they should turn Joe face, because everything that Joe has done thus far has not gotten me a heel reaction. Because he's going up against General Manager William Regal, who seemed to dominate the majority of the Nakamura-Joe feud.
Yeah.
Because of Nakamura's English.
That's why I was confused Nakamura won, because he was just like, I'm just here.
I mean, I think what they could have done better is maybe have Regal ringside during the Nakamura-Joe match. And have him maybe assist Nakamura in winning the title?
I don't think that they want Nakamura to establish a heel alignment in that manner. And I don't think they want Regal as a heel either, because they've got so many examples of heel authority figures just failing miserably.
Regal should stop favoring the indie darlings if he doesn't want to be a heel.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, in storyline, that's why I supported Baron Corbin facing against Aries, because here's Regal, he's dumping all of these indie guys against these NXTers, and I'm like, seriously? This is a heel move.
Yeah.
It's like, it is.
It's like they've had all these big entrances and big debuts, contract signs and everything for all these indie competitors, which I understand why they do that, because of the fact that the Full Sail crowd is so full of indie loving smarks, but at the same time, you can't do that and then have your performance center signees just be given the standard build-up and be forced to work 5-minute squashes against your top-level competitors and not get any sort of heraldry or anything like that. So, I don't know.
I think that we're probably going to make the indie marks mad on this show. That might be it.
Speaking for me personally, when have I ever cared about that?
You don't care.
But you're right, the NXT homegrown, they're being marginalized and made to look less important well, they've worked hard for the company and did everything they were supposed to do and asked of, and then here comes management bringing these other people in like, here they go, see how important they are, we roll the carpet out for them, and the NXT dude gets a debut on regular TV. You know?
Yeah. It sucks, but...
I mean, I understand why they do that, but at the same time, they could just mix it up a little. You know, have some people that... Yeah.
There are very easy ways to do it that could, make a big deal out of somebody, like a Liv Morgan, or like even like guys like Blake and Murphy, who have been made jokes out of in the tag division, suddenly have them show signs of brilliance in a singles competition or something like that. There's very easy ways to do that, and they're just not.
Okay, so we'll get our final thoughts here and wrap up this broadcast, and we'll start off with Gabe.
This was probably card-wise, top to bottom, might have been the best card they've had. You could maybe Dallas is close to like quality of wrestling. I'm curious to see where they go. Women's division-wise, tag team will be interesting. Where they go everywhere will be interesting. They need to figure out stories a little bit, but I think they'll be fine in that at some point. NXT looks like it's going in a good direction right now, so we'll see where they are whenever the next takeover is.
Yep. We'll see if the people will be worshiping Based H in that 20-foot golden statue that they have of him at the Performance Center.
Well,
he's
the only guy that should be anywhere close to winning Booker of the Year. So there's only one other guy that's close, and he completely and the guy with the title in the promotion is kind of cold, so it doesn't help.
So, Chris, what is your final thoughts?
I think this card was definitely as good as, if not better than, last year's TakeOver Brooklyn, and I was at last year's TakeOver Brooklyn live, so I can say that I wish I had gone this year, because it was an excellent event. I'm also curious to see where they go with this. It's going to be an interesting couple of months as they pick up from the fact that most of their top stars have suddenly disappeared, and they have to kind of make do now with a few known quantities and the rest being entirely new faces and new names that people have to get used to seeing. But I think NXT is in a good spot, and I think that they're going to benefit from the fact that the main roster is still in a state of some flux and in need of some maintenance. So I hope that NXT is able to, get themselves to a level of excellence that we've come to expect out of them in this new environment that they have.
Okay, that's great. Tonya? Well, I love the show. I was very entertained. I'm just, I watch NXT primarily for the women, and I just miss multiple storylines, multiple characters that I can get into. So I'm looking forward to seeing who they build up and, where the division is headed.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know where the division is headed. There's a lot of unknowns right now in NXT, and we really don't know what exactly is going on at this point. Nakamura's the champ, Asuka's the champ. I mean, for the international markets, this is fantastic news. They're pushing international people finally. And then you have the tag division, which is being held up by the Revival. You've got Waiting in the Rings, TM61, and Mr. Ellering and his Murder Monsters.
Yes, my favorites.
The Authors of Pain.
Can I just hire those guys to be my personal bodyguards? Because they're honestly the best monster tag team that I've seen in such a long time.
I mean, people can complain about their ring work, but my God, they have a presence, and just the old man guiding them to destroy that tag team on the opposing side is just so fun.
It's beautiful.
And to think this wouldn't have happened if Alexa Bliss hadn't beat up his daughter.
Oh God.
The fire was awakened inside Mr. Old Man Ellering, and he decided to bring his murder monsters down to NXT for some revenge.
It's a wonderful
Unfortunately
place.
for him, Alexa's not there anymore, but Blake and Murphy certainly are.
Oh God, the day when the Authors of Pain just annihilate Blake and Murphy just for the fun of it, yeah. I'm gonna really enjoy the hell out of that match.
Oh yeah, me too. Thank you once again for tuning in for this edition of Cageside Speaks. We hope you enjoy today's doubleheader, because next up on the broadcast in about 30 minutes to an hour will be the tape recording of SummerSlam. Join us then and watch this one here on YouTube, on CagesideSeats.com, and wherever you find it. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This is 14 Fitzpatrick, and we'll see you for the next edition of Cageside Speaks on CagesideSeats.com, the best source for professional wrestling anywhere on the internet. Have a good day, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.